You are watching Shadoween, where the stories are real, and the fear is too. I'm honestly having a hard time focusing today. My hands are literally shaking a little bit. This first story is called The Chrome Box on 3rd Street, and it really messed with my head when I read it in the green room. So look, I'm not some guy who goes looking for trouble. I work at a Napa Auto Parts in a town outside of Columbus that most people just drive through to get to somewhere better. My life is basically shifts, cheap beer, and trying to fix the radiator on my 2008 Civic that's been leaking for 6 months. I was at this yard sale, right? It was one of those depressing ones where you can tell the people are just selling everything because they're getting evicted, or worse. This old lady was sitting on a lawn chair, just staring at nothing. I found this toaster. It was one of those old-school, heavy chrome ones from like the 50s. The ones that look like a toaster version of a Cadillac. It was $2. $2. I had a bag of salt and vinegar chips in my hand that cost more than that. I bought it, took it home, and put it on my counter, right next to a pile of mail I hadn't opened. The first time I used it, I was just making some generic white bread toast. I pushed the lever down, and the thing made this weird, low hum. Not like a normal toaster hum, but like, you know when you're standing under a power line, that buzzing that makes your teeth itch? That. I figured it was just old wiring. I was scrolling on my phone, looking at some dumb meme, and the toast popped. But it didn't smell like toast. It smelled like pennies, like blood. I looked down at the bread. The burnt marks weren't just random brown spots. It looked like a face. Specifically, it looked like my neighbor, Mr. Henderson, but his eyes were just holes. I laughed. I literally laughed and said, "Man, that's freaking weird." I threw the bread in the trash. The next day,
Henderson had a stroke in his driveway. His face was exactly like the toast. Drooping, hollow. I should have thrown the toaster out then. I know that. But I'm an idiot. Or maybe I was just curious. A week later, I tried again. I put in 2 slices of sunbeam bread. I was hungry, my stomach was growling, and I had a headache from the fluorescent lights at work. The hum started again, louder this time. The toaster felt hot, like too hot. I could feel the heat on my face from 3 feet away. When it popped, I didn't want to look. I waited. The smell this time was like burning rubber, like a car wreck. I walked over and looked at the slices. One slice had a perfect silhouette of my Civic. The other slice, it was just a black, charred mess. But there were these little white spots that looked like teeth. I didn't drive my car for 3 days. I took the bus. I felt like a lunatic sitting there with all these people smelling like wet dogs just because of a toaster. On the 4th day, I had to drive. My boss told me if I was late again, I was done. I was driving down Route 33, and this deer it didn't even run. It stood there. I swerved. I hit a tree. My car was totaled. I bit through my lips so hard I needed 6 stitches. Teeth. The white spots on the toast were my own teeth. I'm sitting in my kitchen now. I haven't eaten in 2 days. The toaster is just sitting there. I tried to unplug it, but the cord, it felt like it was stuck to the outlet, like it had melted in. I went to get a screwdriver to pry it out, but when I came back, there was a slice of bread already in the slot. I didn't put it there. I don't even have any bread left in the house. The lever went down by itself. The hum is so loud now, I can't hear the TV. It's vibrating the whole counter. The smell coming out of it. It's not pennies or rubber anymore. It smells like me.
like the shampoo I use and the Old Spice deodorant I wear. I'm just staring at it. I'm too scared to see what's on the bread when it pops. I'm just sitting on the floor, waiting. I think I'm gonna lose my job. I don't care. I just want the humming to stop. This next entry, The Thing with the Glass Eyes, was sent in by a girl from West Virginia, and I don't know, man. It's just gross. It's just a gross story. My grandma died in June. It was hot, like that thick Missouri humidity that makes your clothes stick to your skin the second you step outside. We were cleaning out her house in the Ozarks. It was full of junk. Old Sears catalogs, jars of buttons, and those creepy porcelain dolls she used to collect. Most of them were just dusty and ugly, but there was this one. It was small, maybe 10 inches, wearing a yellow dress that had turned the color of a smoker's teeth. It had these glass eyes that were way too realistic, like they had little red veins in the whites of the eyes. I shoved it into a box of stuff to take to Goodwill and forgot about it. I had a blister on my heel from my boots, and I just wanted to go home and eat some cold pizza. I got back to my apartment, dropped the boxes by the door, and went to bed. At 3 a.m., I woke up because I heard a sound. It was a clicking, like someone was tapping a fingernail against a window. I figured it was just the heater or a branch. I rolled over, but then I felt something hard under my leg. I reached under the covers and pulled out that doll, the one in the yellow dress. I froze. I know for a fact I left that thing in a taped-up box in the living room. I felt this wave of cold go down my spine, even though it was 80 degrees in my room. I got up, walked to the living room, and the box was still taped shut. I ripped the tape off. The box was empty. All the other stuff, the old books, the picture frames, was gone. Just the doll was in my bed. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. I sat on my sofa, watching some mindless reality TV show about people selling houses I'll never be able to afford. The doll was on the kitchen table. I kept looking at it. Every time I blinked, I felt like it had moved a millimeter. Not like it was walking, but like it was adjusting itself. By 6 a.m., I had a massive migraine. I took some aspirin and decided to just throw the thing in the dumpster behind my building. I grabbed it by the hair. It felt oily, like real human hair that hadn't been washed, and I ran outside. I chucked it deep into the trash, right on top of a bag of rotting cabbage. I felt better. I went to work at the diner, served coffee to people who didn't tip, and tried to forget. When I got home, I went to the fridge to get a soda. I opened the door, and there it was, sitting right on the top shelf next to the milk. Its little glass eyes were looking right at me. And here's the thing. It was cold. It was freezing to the touch. I screamed. I actually screamed like a cliché in a movie. I grabbed the doll and ran to the bathroom, and I don't know why, but I tried to flush it. It wouldn't go down, obviously. It just sat there in the water, its yellow dress billowing around it. I started crying. I felt like I was losing my mind. I fished it out with a pair of tongs, put it in a shoebox, and drove 2 hours out into the woods. I buried it. I dug a hole with a garden trowel until my hands bled. I buried that box 3 feet deep. That was 2 days ago. I haven't been back to my apartment. I'm staying at a Motel 6. I'm looking at the mirror right now, trying to put on makeup for my shift, and I just saw something in the reflection. The shoebox is sitting on the luggage rack behind me. It's covered in dirt. There's a little bit of yellow fabric sticking out from under the lid.
I'm not going to open it. I'm just going to sit here and wait for the checkout time. I don't have anywhere else to go. My bank account is overdrawn by $40 because of the motel.
I think I'm just going to stay here until they kick me out.
I don't even know how to introduce the tape in the back of the drawer. This next one, it's just... I'm starting to think maybe I should stop doing this show. I moved into this rental house in Kentucky last fall. It was cheap, which should have been my first warning. The landlord was this guy who looked like he hadn't slept since the 90s, just a jittery mess of a man. The house smelled like Murphy's oil soap and something else. Something sweet and rotten, like a peach left in a hot car. I was unpacking my stuff in the bedroom, and I found a VCR built into the wall under the TV. It was old, one of those bulky things. Inside the tray, there was a tape. No label, just a black VHS with some dust on it. I shouldn't have watched it. I had a lot of work to do. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I had 3 deadlines, but I was procrastinating. I popped it in. The footage was grainy. It was just a static shot of the living room I was sitting in. Same wallpaper, same ugly brown carpet with the stain by the radiator. It looked like it was filmed from the corner near the ceiling. There was no sound, just that low, white noise hiss. I watched for 10 minutes. Nothing happened. I was about to turn it off when a person walked into the frame. It was me. I was wearing the exact same gray hoodie I had on right then. I watched myself on the TV walk across the room, sit on the couch, and start watching the TV. It was a loop. But then, on the tape, the me on the screen looked up at the camera. He looked terrified. He started pointing at the door behind him. I froze. I didn't want to look behind me. My neck felt like it was made of stone. On the TV, the door behind the me on the screen slowly started to open. A hand reached out. It wasn't a normal hand. It was too long. The fingers had too many knuckles, and the skin was the color of a wet mushroom.
It grabbed the me on the screen by the hair and yanked him into the darkness of the hallway. There was no struggle, just a quick, violent jerk, and he was gone. Then, the thing that grabbed him walked into the frame. It didn't have a face. It just had a smooth, flat surface where the eyes and mouth should be, and it was wearing my hoodie. It sat down on the couch and looked directly into the camera. The tape cut to static. I sat there for a long time, just listening to the VCR click as it reached the end of the reel. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I just stared at the static. My phone buzzed on the coffee table, a text from my mom asking how the move was going. I couldn't even pick it up. My hands were numb. Eventually, the sun started to go down, and the shadows in the room got long and jagged. I finally got the courage to stand up and run for the front door. I didn't grab my keys or my wallet. I just ran. I spent the night in my car in a Walmart parking lot, shivering and eating a bag of beef jerky I found in the glove box. I went back the next morning with a friend. We went into the house, and everything was normal. The VCR was empty. I checked the whole place, the closets, the basement, under the bed. Nothing. My friend laughed at me, told me I was probably just stressed from the move and hallucinated it. I almost believed him. I really did. But then I went to put my hoodie in the laundry. I reached into the pocket, and I felt something small and hard. I pulled it out. It was a human tooth. A molar. It wasn't mine. I have all my teeth. I still live in that house because I broke my lease at the last place and I have nowhere else to go. I don't use the living room anymore. I stay in the bedroom with the door locked. Sometimes, late at night, I hear the VCR hum. It sounds like it's rewinding. Moving on to a really disturbing one titled 10 Minutes Fast. This one came from a guy who sounds like he's totally lost it.
I think I'm gonna need a drink after this. I found this pocket watch at a flea market in rural Pennsylvania. It was beautiful, silver with these intricate carvings of vines and little screaming faces. Or maybe they were just flowers, I don't know. The guy selling it wouldn't look me in the eye. He just took my $20 and walked away before I could even ask for a bag. The watch didn't work. The hands were stuck at 12:10. I figured I could get it fixed, or maybe just keep it as a cool paperweight. I'm a sucker for old tech. I work in a call center, answering phones for an insurance company, and my desk is covered in little trinkets to keep me from jumping out the window. I put the watch on my desk. About an hour into my shift, I started hearing things. Not the usual office noise, the clicking of keyboards, the lady in the next cubicle chewing her gum like a cow, but voices. They were faint, like a radio station that wasn't quite tuned in. I picked up the watch, and the voices got louder. It was weird. I could hear my boss, Susan, thinking about how much she hated her shoes. I could hear the guy across from me, Mike, thinking about what he wanted for lunch. But it wasn't what they were thinking now. It was what they were thinking 10 minutes in the future. I know because 10 minutes later, Susan walked by and complained about her heels, and Mike stood up and said, "Man, I'm really craving a burrito." It was cool at first. I felt like I had a superpower. I used it to avoid annoying coworkers and to know exactly when the boss was coming around to check on our call times. But then it started getting dark. I was on the bus home, holding the watch in my pocket. I could hear the people around me. I heard a woman thinking about how she was going to go home and kill herself. I heard a man thinking about the body he had in his trunk. It was like a flood of filth hitting my brain. The watch started to feel hot in my hand, not just warm, but searing.
I tried to let go of it,
But I couldn't. It felt like it was fused to my skin. The worst part is the things people think about me. I heard my girlfriend thinking about how she was going to break up with me in 10 minutes. I heard her walking through the door. I heard the exact words she was going to use, the way her voice would crack. And then, 10 minutes later, it happened. Word for word. It's like I'm living everything twice, and the second time is always worse, because I know it's coming, and I can't change it. I tried to throw the watch off a bridge into the river. I watched it hit the water. 10 minutes later, I felt a weight in my pocket. I reached in, and there it was, cold and silver. I'm sitting in my apartment now. The power is out because I forgot to pay the bill. I'm holding the watch. I can hear the neighbors through the wall. I can hear what's going to happen in 10 minutes. There's a sound of a door breaking. There's a sound of someone screaming. It's my voice. I'm screaming. I can hear the sound of something sharp sliding through meat. It's so loud. I have 9 minutes left. I'm looking at the door. I'm looking at the watch. It's 12:01. I'm just waiting. I don't even want to run. What's the point? I already heard how it ends. Last one for tonight. The 20-pound guest. I think I'm done after this. I need to go home and I don't know. I bought a weighted blanket online. You know, for anxiety. My life has been a mess lately. My cat died. My car got keyed. And I've been having these panic attacks that feel like a heart attack. The blanket was supposed to help. It was 20 pounds, charcoal gray, filled with these tiny glass beads. The first night I used it, it was great. I felt tucked in, secure. I slept for 8 hours straight for the first time in months. I woke up feeling refreshed, even though I had a weird bruise on my shoulder. I figured I just slept on it funny. The second night, the blanket felt heavier. Like, way heavier. I struggled to pull it up over my chest. It felt like 30 or 40 pounds. I had this dream that someone was standing on my chest, pressing down with all their weight. I woke up gasping for air, dripping with sweat. The blanket was coiled around me like a snake. I kicked it off and sat on the edge of the bed, my heart racing. The room was cold, and I could smell something. Like old, damp earth. Like a basement after a flood. I looked at the blanket on the floor. It looked like a pile of lead. I left it there and slept on the sofa. The next day, I tried to move the blanket to the closet. I couldn't lift it. I'm a pretty big guy. I go to the gym, I can deadlift 200 pounds, but I couldn't budge this piece of fabric. It felt like it was bolted to the floor. I grabbed a corner and pulled as hard as I could. The fabric ripped, and instead of glass beads falling out, something else came out. It was hair. Long, black, matted hair. And it was wet. I backed away, tripping over a pair of sneakers. The blanket started to move. It wasn't sliding, it was bunching up, like something was crawling underneath it. A shape started to form. It looked like a person curled into a ball. I ran out of the room and locked the door. I stayed in the kitchen, clutching a steak knife like that was going to do anything against a haunted blanket. I could hear it hitting the door. Thud, thud, thud. It sounded like a heavy bag of meat being slammed against the wood. I called my brother, but he didn't pick up. I just sat there on the kitchen floor, listening to the thudding. Eventually, it stopped. I waited until the sun came up, my legs cramped and my eyes burning from lack of sleep. I slowly opened the bedroom door. The blanket was back on the bed. It was folded perfectly, like in a hotel. I haven't gone back into that room. I've been sleeping in my car for 3 nights now. I went back today to get my laptop and some clothes, but the front door was unlocked.
I know I locked it. I walked into the hallway, and I saw the blanket. It wasn't in the bedroom. It was draped over the sofa in the living room. And there was a depression in the middle of it, like someone had just been sitting there. I could see the shape of a head and shoulders. I didn't get my stuff. I just left. I'm at a library right now, typing this out because I don't know what else to do. I can feel my shoulders aching, like there's a heavy weight pressing down on them. I think it followed me. I think it's sitting on my back right now, and I just can't see it. Subscribe to Shadoween if you're still there.